This week, Disney launched the brand new Disney Genie. Part itinerary builder, part FastPass replacement, part new big part of your Disney World budget. So, what is this new pay-to-play system? How does it work? And should you buy your way out to the front of the line? We've got all the details coming up right now on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. The biggest technological advance since MagicBands has arrived in Disney World and it's coming to Disneyland, and we tested out every single aspect of the new Disney Genie. For better or worse, paid skip-the-line features are here, but alongside that is a totally free new planning tool that's going to change how you visit the parks. Whether you're welcoming the Disney Genie with open arms or completely rejecting the idea of paying for a single ride on Space Mountain, we got the details, tips, tricks, and full Is It Worth It breakdown. Let's get into it. So what is Disney Genie? It's basically a new version of FastPass that you pay for, plus a whole free itinerary building AI system, like if Tony Stark created Jarvis, but it was just for planning your Disney vacation. And then you also had to cough up $15 to ride Rise of the Resistance without a 2-hour wait. Not into the Avengers metaphor? Basically, Disney's created a super high-tech planning algorithm that's going to monitor real-time waits at rides and restaurants and offer up suggestions that are personalized to you, your travel party, and what's going on in the park that day to help plan out every moment of your day in the parks. Disney Genie is available to everyone and will organize all of your plans from dining reservations to any upgraded skip-the-line options that you choose to pay for. It's the My Disney Experience app plus, and it's all inside that app. No need to download anything else. First things first, yes, there is a free part of Disney Genie that anyone in the parks can use. Second, Disney Genie Plus, a paid upgrade of $15 per day per person in Walt Disney World, is your way to skip the standby line for shorter wait times at over 40 rides across the 4 parks. Third, Disney Genie Plus doesn't include every ride. There are several premium individual attraction selections, aka fancy rides, that are part of a pay-per-ride system. Confused yet? Let's break it down. We're going to start with free Disney Genie. Disney Genie is a free planning service built into the My Disney Experience app and Disneyland app. You will tell Disney Genie what you want to ride, what types of things you like, etc., and Disney Genie is going to create a personalized, flexible itinerary for you. Plans will continuously update to help you get the most out of your day, and essentially Genie is designed to help you plan your day and optimize your plans, and it's available to everybody. In addition to those personalized itineraries you'll find in the My Genie plans in the app, you'll also have access to the tip board within My Disney Experience. This is going to give you the latest info on wait times, mobile order pickup times, and walk-up waitlist availability at restaurants, all in one place. You'll be able to pin your top picks so the things you're most interested in show at the top of your tip board, making it easy to prioritize those. Now, there's Disney Genie Plus. This is a paid FastPass-like service. It costs $15 per day per person at Disney World and $20 per day per ticket at Disneyland. With tax, that comes to $15.98. Not a huge difference, but something to keep in mind as those hidden costs can add up over the week, especially for a larger family. This lets you use lightning lanes, the new name for FastPass queues, at most rides in the parks. You will select the next available time to use the lightning lane for whatever ride you want, and when your time arrives, you can visit the ride and use the lightning lane, skipping the standby line. Once you're done with that ride, you can make another Genie Plus lightning lane selection, one ride at a time throughout the day, starting at 7 a.m. in Disney World and once you're in the park in Disneyland. A major change from FastPass is that you can only ride each ride once with Disney Genie Plus. No riding the Barnstormer back to back using the lightning lane for those little kids. The attraction list can change, but for now, most rides and shows that previously had FastPass are on the list. That includes over 40 attractions in Disney World and over 15 in Disneyland. You can see the full list over at DisneyFoodBlog.com. Okay, let's move on to the fancy rides. Not every ride is included in Genie Plus. Those fancy rides, the really popular ones that have super long waits on the reg, those will be pay per ride. This includes Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Space Mountain, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, Frozen Ever After, Rise of the Resistance, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and Expedition Everest over there in Disney World. In Disneyland, they include Rise of the Resistance, Radiator Springs Racers, and Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure. Now, let me clarify something really quickly here. Do you have to buy a ride on these rides? No, you can always use the standby line. You never have to pay extra to ride these rides. The only thing you're paying extra for is to skip the standby line. Okay, moving on. You can only pick 2 of these fancy rides per day. It can't be the same ride twice. Pricing for these individual premium rides is going to vary, but on the first day we got to use it, a Tuesday in October, Expedition Everest was $7, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train was $10, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure was $9, and Rise of the Resistance was $15. Prices may go up a bit on the weekends or on the holidays, but the max charge for these pay-per-ride rides is going to be $15, at least for now. You can book these at 9 a.m., but if you're staying at a Disney Resort hotel or a Good Neighbor hotel that has these privileges, you can get a jump on things and book at 7 a.m. You can buy Disney Genie Plus and add on these pay-per-ride rides, or you can just do the pay-per-ride rides, or you can skip it all together and use the standby lines for everything and just use the free Disney Genie itineraries. Lots of options. Now, before we get into the thick of this, let's go over the terminology you need to know. My Disney Experience app, that's the planning app you will 100% need for your Disney World vacation. If you've been to Disney World in the past decade, you've encountered this app. Disney Genie exists within that app. Disney Genie, the free itinerary building and planning tool. Disney Genie Plus is the paid access to lightning lanes at over 40 rides and shows in Disney World. Individual attraction selections or fancy rides, the pay-per-ride lightning lane access to some of the most popular rides that are not automatically included in Disney Genie Plus. Lightning lanes are the new name for FastPass queues and what you'll use to bypass the standby lines if you pay for Disney Genie Plus or individual attraction selections. And return time, back to our FastPass vocabulary. This is the 1-hour window in which you get to use the lightning lane for a specific ride or show once you've booked it. Okay, let's start answering questions. We've had the chance to use Disney Genie and its paid counterparts in the parks in real time. We had about 7 reporters out there doing all kinds of different things, basically trying to get the gist of everything Disney Genie Plus can do. So it's time to answer your top questions and get down to the nitty-gritty. How do I buy Disney Genie Plus and/or individual attraction selections? Disney Genie Plus can be purchased in advance of your trip, but you'll need to buy it for the full length of your trip if you buy it ahead of time. If you only want to use it for one day or every other day, you'll have to buy it on the day of. You can purchase a single day of Disney Genie Plus starting at midnight, but you won't be able to make your first ride selections until the morning. Annual pass holders will only be able to purchase single-day Disney Genie Plus as it is tied to the ticket length rather than a resort reservation. You won't need to get Disney Genie Plus for every day of your trip or for everyone in your party. That's not required. If you only want to get it for half your group, no problem. Only want to get it on the last day of your trip? That's fine. You've got options. Individual attraction selections, fancy rides, can only be purchased on the day you're going to ride them, starting at 7 a.m. if you're at a Disney hotel and 9 a.m. if you're not. We have step-by-step guides on how to purchase both Genie Plus and the individual attraction selections over at DisneyFoodblog.com. We're going to link those posts below in the video description for you. Now, how long will you wait in line with Disney Genie Plus? Lightning lanes that you get to use when you purchase Disney Genie Plus are the old FastPass queues with a new sign. So if you ever used FastPass, you kind of already know what you're in for. On the first day using Lightning lanes, nearly everything was a walk-on for our reporters, as in no wait whatsoever. Since wait times will be affected by how crowded the parks are and how many people purchase Disney Genie Plus or individual attraction selections, you might experience a minimal wait, especially on busy days. But one thing is for sure, you'll wait less in a lightning lane than you will in a standby line. For example, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train was at a 60-minute wait for the standby line, but our reporter was able to use a pay-per-ride selection and only waited 6 minutes. Will Disney Genie Plus return times and individual attraction selections sell out? Well, maybe, but maybe not. Here's what we found today. Lightning lane availability and individual attraction selection availability did tend to say unavailable from time to time, but then it would come back online. So it's kind of like the old FastPass system where there wouldn't be a FastPass, there wouldn't be a FastPass, there wouldn't be a FastPass, and then all of a sudden there's a FastPass. So you kind of have to keep an eye on your phone and keep trying. For example, we saw Slinky Dog Dash say unavailable several times during the day, and then all of a sudden there were lightning lanes available again. So I think it's going to kind of be like the old FastPass deal where people are going to cancel their selections and those will come back online, or maybe Disney will realize that there's fewer people in the park so they can actually add a few more back in. So I think that's going to be something that's going to be fluid. Now don't forget, Disney hotel guests get a jump on making those individual attraction selections starting at 7 a.m. Everyone else has to wait until the parks open. Now, those aren't the Disney Genie Plus lightning lanes, the 40 rides and attractions. These are the fancy rides, right? Those are the ones that you need to be staying at a hotel to book at 7 a.m. By around 10 a.m. Eastern on Genie launch day, the paper ride selections for Rise of the Resistance had already started to say unavailable, but that's a solid hour after park opening. Now, we spoke with cast members who confirmed that more lightning lane passes could be released throughout the day, so it's worth checking back. On very busy days, it may pay to stay at a Disney hotel to guarantee you get earlier access to lightning lane bookings, but for now, it doesn't really seem to be a necessity. Now, what happens if a ride I paid for breaks down? If a Disney Genie Plus ride is unavailable during your lightning lane window, you'll get a pass to come back later or use it on another ride. That's the same thing that used to happen with FastPass. If the ride you booked as an individual attraction selection is closed, you'll likely be given a time later in the day to come back. If the ride is closed the entire day, you may get a refund. This part was a little fluid. Disney has said they'll keep communication lines open to keep you updated on what's happening with any closed rides, but it seems to be very much a case-by-case basis of what the solution could be. This is kind of how Disney's been dealing with all of their new technology. They throw something out there, and they sort of see what happens, and we're the guinea pigs. Rise of the Resistance broke down while one of our reporters was riding. 3 times, and they received a redemption pass to come back and ride it later in the day each time. That is unexpectedly bad luck, but know that Disney will take care of you and do their best to get you on that ride eventually. She did get to ride by the end of the night, but that was 13 hours after she had originally purchased the Rise of the Resistance lightning lane. Now let's talk about some tips for Disney Genie Plus. Prepare yourself ahead of time so you're ready to go when 7 a.m. rolls around if you definitely want to lock in those individual attraction selections or those lightning lane attractions. Link up all your park tickets and payment methods so you aren't wasting time in the morning adding all that stuff to the app. You'll want to fill in your likes, dislikes, and top choices before you start using Disney Genie to build itineraries. By the way, you can do this the night before your park day, and it will help the app to show you things you really want to do. Right at 7 a.m., if you're staying in a Disney hotel, you're able to book a spot in the virtual queue for Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, book your first Genie Plus lightning lane selection, and book 2 individual attraction selections or fancy rides. Our reporters who did this on day 1 didn't have any trouble doing all of those one after another. But be aware that Genie Plus lightning lane times may start to sell out first. Right at 7 a.m., the only time they could get for Slinky Dog Dash was at 4 p.m. And also remember that you can't book your 2 individual attraction selections or fancy rides in one transaction. You're going to have to book those in separate transactions. You can build your own plans and alter suggested itineraries from Disney Genie. If you're being suggested rides that you're not interested in, you can opt to have Genie stop recommending that ride. You can also swap out ride suggestions in the itinerary manually to build off of Genie's suggested itinerary to create the perfect schedule for you. If you're not a fan of following Genie's suggested itineraries, or maybe like Molly over at All Ears, you don't want to eat the Dapper Dans as Genie suggested for her lunch, you can use the tip board to see wait times and more and plan your day your way. Now here's a big old tip that you are going to want to remember. You'll want to familiarize yourself with the 120-minute rule or the 2-hour rule. Generally, you can only make one Genie Plus lightning lane selection at a time, and you'll need to wait to use that or for the return time to expire until you make another selection, just like the old paper FastPass system. Now, let's say you were only able to grab a lightning lane for a certain ride much later in the day. Like our reporter, it's noon and you could only get Slinky Dog Dash at 4 p.m. You can book another lightning lane selection before 4 p.m., but you must wait 2 hours, 120 minutes after booking that Slinky Dog Dash lightning lane to do so. In other words, if you book Slinky at noon, you can book something else at 2 p.m. and hold 2 lightning lane selections at one time. The 120-minute rule starts with park opening. Even if you book something at 7 a.m. for later in the day, you will have to wait 2 hours after that park has opened to book a second lightning lane selection. That's a sticking point, you guys. That's one's really, really tough, and it took us a long time to get our heads wrapped around. So at 7 a.m., you book that Slinky Dog Dash for 4 p.m. You cannot book another lightning lane selection until 2 hours after the park opens, which means if Hollywood Studios opens at 9, you can't book another ride until 11. Got it? Okay. Now, the Genie Plus portion of the My Disney Experience app will indicate when you're eligible to make another Genie Plus lightning lane selection, so you don't have to kind of do the math yourself, but be aware, that's a really, really problematic thing if you're trying to ride a whole bunch and you basically lose half your day. Overall, trying to make those Genie Plus selections for early times, if possible, is what you're going to want to do. If you make it for a later time, you're going to be stuck waiting for that 2 hours after the park opens or 2 hours after you make the selection before you can make another Genie Plus selection. So you're likely better off either waiting in that ride standby line, trying to book it ASAP to get an early Genie Plus return time, or watching it throughout the day and maybe booking it later. Like we said, Slinky Dog Dash came back up in availability a few times during the day. Okay, in true Genie Plus fashion, we do have a little extra section to talk about in here. You can stack Genie Plus Lightning Lane rides and hold several at the same time, even with the 120-minute rule. Here's how. Say you snagged that 4 p.m. Slinky Dog Dash before park opening, then you wait until 2 hours after Hollywood Studios opens to be eligible to book another Lightning Lane. You really want to book Tower of Terror, but the next available time is at 3:45. No problem. Once that 2-hour cooldown window has passed, that first Lightning Lane you booked exists kind of separately from the new Lightning Lane reservations. Times can overlap, unlike the Fast Pass Plus system where you couldn't have them at the same time. You'll have to wait another 2 hours after booking Tower of Terror, but then you'll be able to book a third Lightning Lane selection. Genie Plus will only allow you to book the next available return time for a ride, so you can't select only late return times to stack all of your rides at the end of the day, but if later times are all that's available, you're not out of luck. You just need to wait for that 2-hour cooldown period to keep booking more. In theory, you can stack as many rides as there are 2-hour time blocks in a park day, but we'd still recommend grabbing earlier Genie Plus return times so you aren't stuck waiting on those cooldown periods. Disney Genie Plus Lightning Lanes cannot be modified, but you can cancel one and rebook at an earlier time or a different ride if it becomes available. However, individual attraction selections or fancy rides cannot be canceled once you buy them. More Lightning Lane selection, both Genie Plus and fancy rides, will release throughout the day, so it's worth checking back if you weren't able to snag one when you first tried. If you have plans in more than one park, Genie will also tell you when it's time to hop to your second park to make it to your Lightning Lane or dining reservation in time. If you're buying individual attraction selections at 2 different parks, it can be difficult to find the second one in the app because it thinks you're at one park. It doesn't know you're hopping to a second park yet, so it may not automatically kind of provide that. So after purchasing a Lightning Lane for Rise of the Resistance, we had to go back to the Genie tip board, change the park at the top, and scroll down to find Remy's Ratatouille Adventure to book that one. Even though we selected both of these attractions when we chose our selections for the day, neither popped up automatically. So as we can see, new technology is not without its issues, and that's something to remember when you go for the first time to use Disney Genie. There were several instances where we had to search for a ride in order to find it when it wouldn't pop up in the tip board, and we experienced some phantom Lightning Lane plans that just wouldn't leave our plans even if they were canceled. Take screenshots of your plans just in case you run into any tech glitches, because guest services and the guest experience teams are getting very, very comfortable with dealing with these glitches now, and they will help you out. Now, you can hold a boarding pass for Remy's Ratatouille Adventure or Web Slingers or Rise of the Resistance if they use the virtual queue again, and pay to skip the line. Boarding passes are used in lieu of a standby line, and you're more than welcome to wait in the standby line as many times as you want in addition to paying to access the Lightning Lane once per day. Disney Genie will show you forecasted wait times. That can help you decide when it's the best time for you to hop in the standby line for a ride, or if it's worth splurging on Genie Plus for those individual attraction selections. Disney Genie suggested that one of our reporters ride Frozen Ever After through the standby line, noting that the wait time was low. The posted wait was 70 minutes, but they only waited about 30 minutes. When they got off the ride, it was then posted as a 40-minute wait. So it did appear that Genie knew that the ride's wait time would, according to trends, go down. You will also be able to see how long virtual queue wait times are. This feature is brand new. When you pay for Genie Plus, you'll also get access to AR, augmented reality photo lenses, so you can take a photo in front of the 25th anniversary birthday cake castle or turn yourself into a genie. So is Disney Genie Plus worth the upgrade? At $15 per person per day, Disney Genie Plus is not a trivial expenditure. Sure, for a party of 2 for a day or 2, it's not outrageous, but for a family of 4 for a whole week, you're looking at upwards of $400. Most of our team felt that the real bang for your buck, worth it scenario for Genie Plus was in Magic Kingdom. There are enough rides to do in this park that you aren't dropping $15 to skip just a handful of lines, and enough of those rides see long enough waits to justify paying to skip the standby line. In parks like Animal Kingdom or Epcot, where Genie Plus attractions are fewer, buying this upgrade makes a little less sense. Many rides on the Genie Plus list don't see absurd wait times throughout the day, and our team felt that Genie Plus was just not a necessity, at least on this day, to get everything done in a reasonable amount of time. Hollywood Studios could be considered a toss-up. There are more rides on the Genie Plus list that see longer wait times regularly in this park, but 2 of those rides also have single rider lines. If you don't mind splitting up from your group, you can save time and $15 by using the single rider line at Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run and Rocket Roller Coaster in Hollywood Studios. Test Track and Epcot and Expedition Everest and Animal Kingdom also have single rider lines, so maybe think before shelling out the cash to ride those ones if you're open to riding separate from the rest of your party. If you're on a short trip or visiting during a really busy time when standby lines will be very long for everything, or you have a Magic Kingdom-centric vacation, or you just really hate standing in lines, then Disney Genie Plus could very well be a good purchase for you. You may want to wait until the day of to see what wait times are like as your trip gets closer, and if they're long enough to make you want to pay to skip the standby lines. Remember, you can buy Disney Genie Plus on the day you want to use it. You don't have to buy it beforehand, and you don't have to make those decisions beforehand. All right, the next big question, are individual attraction selections or paying for fancy rides worth it? Again, if it's a short trip, budgeting to skip the line at 1 or 2 rides won't totally break the bank, but if you want to avoid every line you can for you and your whole extended family, get ready to spend big bucks. For some rides, like Flight of Passage, the lightning lanes did significantly cut down on wait times. For others, particularly spots like Expedition Everest, where the wait times were already so low for standby, the lightning lanes really didn't dramatically change our wait time experience. Our reporters felt that for most parks, buying the individual attraction selections made a bigger impact on their time spent in line versus buying Disney Genie Plus. These are the rides that continuously have the longest wait times, but it'll cost more, and these rides are subject to surge pricing. While no ride will go above $15 per ride, according to Disney, several of them operate on a sliding scale and are going to be more expensive on a weekend versus a weekday. Remy's Ratatouille Adventure is $9 on weekdays and $11 on weekends right now. That being said, spending $9 to $11 on Remy will likely be money better spent than spending $15 to access lightning lanes for Genie Plus attractions in Epcot if you weren't able to snag a spot in the virtual queue. Spending $15 per person to ride Rise of the Resistance might seem steep, but you're really getting 2+ hours of time that would otherwise be spent waiting in line to do and see more. If your trip has the flexibility to allow you to spend more time in line, then buying individual attraction selections may not be a big deal for you. But again, those short trips, those really packed full trips, and those trips you really don't want to spend your time in line, that's when this pay-per-ride upgrade can benefit you and your family. All right, overall, Disney Genie is pretty intuitive and puts planning tools we've never seen before right in the palm of our hand. Genie's itineraries gave us suggestions that went above and beyond the basics. It recommended under-the-radar performers in Epcot, something most people won't ever have heard of, and hopping in line for mega-popular rides in the middle of the day, something that might seem counterintuitive, but data predicted it would be the shortest wait of the day, which it was. The paid upgrades may not be for everyone, but for those that are interested, it can save you time waiting in line. Needless to say, doing Disney without a smartphone just got about 1,000 times harder, but the suite of new features that come with Disney Genie can have a major impact on how efficiently you do Disney and help you get the most out of your park tickets and vacation. We're going to continue breaking down all of the new features of Disney Genie, both on the channel here and over on DisneyFoodblog.com. We're writing a ton of content. We're checking out every possible incarnation of using Disney Genie Plus, not using Disney Genie Plus, buying those fancy rides, not buying those fancy rides. And as crowds continue to be flexible, we're going to see different things with Disney Genie and Disney Genie Plus, and we're going to have different recommendations for you. So stick with us to stay up to date on all of the latest. Definitely sign up for our newsletter. The link to do so is in the description below, and you're going to get the most up-to-date Disney Parks news right there in your inbox. But yeah, I think after our first day of Disney Genie Plus, some of our reporters came out of it saying, this is great, I'd use this every day. Some came out of it saying, this just didn't work out. So I think we really have a very broad understanding. I think we have a breadth of outcomes right now. And again, it's day one. I don't think Disney's really pushing this in the parks right now. We're not seeing a lot of signage for Disney Genie. So I think this is sort of a guinea pig timeframe for them. They are testing, they are fixing, they are updating glitches right there in real time. You know, we saw IT staff in the parks updating things and changing things. So I really do think Disney's going to test this out for a while and sort of see what happens, see what the glitches are, see what the feedback is from the users before they really start pushing this hard in terms of purchasing. So there's a lot left to figure out. There's a lot left to find out. And we're going to do all that for you. We're going to be using Disney Genie. We're going to be using Disney Genie Plus. And we're going to be testing out ourselves to make sure that you have the best possible trip you can based on our recommendations. So we're in it to win it for you. We are going to do as much research as we can daily. Our reporters can't wait to figure out the best tips for you. And they are really thrilled to get the chance to test this out for you and see what makes the most sense. All right. Hope that was helpful. I know it's still very confusing. It's confusing to us. You should have seen all of us just with our brains exploding all day trying to figure out what exactly was going on. But we're getting there. We're getting there. And I hope you are too. And I hope this was helpful. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. We got a lot more to go through with you and for you. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.